Welcome to No Shortcuts YouTube channel. My name is Anthony Brumell, and you have arrived to one of the safest place on earth. Today, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 fears that Americans have. There's a couple of articles that really kind of sums up the top 10 fears that Americans have. I'll leave the descriptions of the two that I finally went with in the description. This one here is from Chapman University, and there's another one here from safehome.org. I will leave a link in the description for the both of them. I'm going to focus on the one from Chapman University. These are the top 10 fears. They are not in any particular order, in my opinion. I believe, and you'll read this for yourself, these top 10 fears, when they polled Americans, were the top 10 things that came up. And so let's just look right into them. This channel, by the way, for those of you that are new, this channel focus on self autonomy, the things that we can do for ourselves, taking accountability and being responsible for our own actions, and looking inward for a lot of the solutions to our problems, not waiting on government officials or an election or things that masses of people have to do to make change. You can make changes within yourself and in your own particular life a lot sooner and a lot quicker. So that's going to be the focus on how we look at solutions for the top 10 fears that Americans have. So let's go get right into it. And you'll see they just have a lot of the background information about the top 10 fears and how they conducted the survey. And this survey is from 2023. They do have one for 2024, but it's the exact same way. But I think this one is a little bit more relevant. So let's just look at the top 10 fears. And remember, this channel focuses on self autonomy and things that you can do for yourself. So the first one is corrupt government officials. And if you don't realize this already, this may be a fear of yours, but your government officials has always been corrupt. Okay, this is nothing new. Your success or lack thereof depends on pretty much your belief system, your mindset, and the kind of discipline that you have. Um, if you haven't questioned or examined your belief system and make sure that it suits you, and then whatever the government does will affect you. If you follow things the way that they tell you, you will not see any changes. And yes, you will deal with corrupt government officials that will have you pulling you back and forth. But if you focus and create your own belief system and make changes for yourself, question your reality, question the things in your programming in your life, the things that you have been taught, the things that you actually feel, you will have more success by creating not only your own reality, but making changes in your life. If you want to be successful, if you want to lose weight or improve your health, you got to make decisions when you go to the grocery store. You make that decision based on what you put in your mouth, not what the health department comes from. So, in other words, we can look at things talking about we worried about corrupt government officials, and the changes that you make within your own life will always be more beneficial and more quicker than what government officials, the effect that they will have on you. Now, I'm not saying that they won't have any effect on you, but for the most part, if you get out of their riffraff, get into your day to day, you will have a much more successful, fulfilling life if you focus on yourself, focus on your belief system and things that actually suit you. Most of what you see in the mainstream media is the opposite of what you really think it is. They have an agenda for their own pockets, and you have to focus on you. In other words, how you feel and how you prepare your life will have more impact on your life versus um, what you think corrupt government officials will. So let's look at the second one. The second one is an economic collapse. So let's ease your fear. Simple. Let's look at, creating a savings account, create a personal savings, account to keep cash on you. You can invest in yourself by creating a skill. And there's so many different things you can do. Now, you can also do things like invest in the stock market. But I will tell you, like, my main thing that I think we need to focus on when it comes to yourself and things of that nature is this: when it comes to an economic financial collapse. I don't care if it's $500 or $500. I personally, every month, make sure that, yes, I do put a little bit in savings. Yes, I will, if need be, keep some cash on me, because that's very important, because if this system shuts down, which goes into another fear that we'll talk about later. If this system shuts down, you got some cash that you can have. I put a little bit of money in my savings. I may invest in a Roth IRA, a little bit in the stock market, and a form of retirement. If you don't have the financial income coming in to do all of that, like, I don't care if it's $5. Now somebody might say, "Well, that ain't a whole lot of money." Well, if you can't save $5 will mean a lot, because obviously, you may not have anything else. So save what you can. Obviously, there are things that we can do to do better, as far as reducing our debt, making sure that you evaluate what you have going on, where you are not spending unnecessarily on things that you really don't need. Start somewhere. Put some money aside, put a little bit in savings, make it a daily or a monthly routine that you follow through with. And believe it or not, a few months down the line, you can look back and see that, okay, this is actually going somewhere. Because even if you don't have a lot, like I said, if you put down $20, sooner or later, 5 months later down the line, that turns into $100. And that may make you feel a little bit better. That may make you decide to put in a little bit more. And hopefully you can do more than that. So one of the next top 10 fears that Americans have is actually Russia nuclear weapons. This is more of an actual boogeyman. Um, you know, we talk about Russian nuclear weapons and things of that nature. If you're probably more likely to get hit by a Nissan Altima driver than worrying about a Russia nuclear weapons. And let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So there's several things that America and Russia, they actually have in common that I want you to kind of take a look at. Look at what Russia and America share as resources. You're talking metals, oils, chemicals, machineries, and foods and things of that nature. And there's a lot of other things. You're talking about the Antarctic Treaty. There's several things that these two countries actually share and believe and work together with. And ask yourself this question: if you had a true enemy, you got a next door neighbor or somebody that you don't like, what do you share with them? You don't deal with them like that if you really don't like each other like that. You're not going to war with them because you need each other. A lot of this stuff, man, is boogeyman fear that the media have always kind of kept us in divisiveness and fear and anger over the years. But when you really look at it, is it actually a real threat like that? Of course, anything can happen, but for the most part, I think this is more of a boogeyman fear, Let's keep them always thinking the big bad Russian with their red flag and all of this stuff is always going to be an actual problem when in actuality I don't think that's the case. So you have the next one, the US becoming involved in another world war. Once again, you know, way more of a boogeyman. You know, you can look at this country has always been in war. This country has always been in war. Whether it's like the Cold War, where you're not having a guerrilla war type thing that's going on, where you're not sending troops, and but you got like these covert wars where you're just fighting over resources. This country has always had something like that going. So for you to have a fear um, of America or Russia actually having, America actually being involved with some kind of nuclear war or America being involved in another world war. These these countries are not doing the traditional old school troops on the ground type war that you're looking for, that you're sending um, tons and tons of troops. They're doing a lot of drone fighting. They're doing stuff like that, and these things are actually happening right now. So I mean, you can have a fear. I don't think it's a necessary fear because this country has always been having stuff like this. What you need to focus on, um, you know, it's almost like you waiting for it to come up in the news. What's more important is the time, your thought process, your mindset, and how you focus on being at not being at war with your neighbor, not being at war with people that you come in contact with day to day, and actually protecting yourself, but creating a lifestyle that you need to have a more successful and an abundant life. The next one on this list is talking about people I love becoming seriously ill. So not too long ago, um, back in 2020, we dealt with this thing. Um, y'all know what I'm talking about. That that uh that virus that came through back in 2020, and you had a lot of people becoming seriously ill. One of the things that I can um, talk about personally with that, and that really affects you based on your own personal decisions. And like I said, we focus on self autonomy in this channel. Um, is if you haven't, start collecting and storing um, medications that work, both off the shelf, both on the shelf and off the shelf, and natural stuff. And what I mean by that, they are, we used to have, as a people, when I talk about self autonomy and things of that nature, we used to have a skill to heal and take care of ourselves. Our families used to do it. My family did it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people listening to the video had, ways of protecting ourselves and healing ourselves with remedies that's in the home, that's around the house. If you want to end this fear, you need to educate yourself on how to heal yourself and the people you care about. You can use home remedies. You can use there are some stuff, people talk about medications that's on the shelf, but there's some stuff that I know during that last uh, pandemic that they did that actually work. There were things that teas and stuff that you can make, but there are actually books that you can buy. If we're talking about ending this fear, a fear that people have about people actually becoming sick and ill, There's so many remedies. There's so many. If you got an older person or people that know about this type of stuff, a grandma, a grand uncle that used to remember these remedies, write them down. Like I say, when you see medications and things like that in the actual store that you know that works, there were several things that I used to buy out of general stores, the Walmarts and Targets and things like that that would boost your immune system. I'm not going to promote any of that type of stuff here, but there's several drinks and stuff that I would buy, and it actually worked. You know, there were people that I know during that process that got real sick, and I actually got sick for a little bit, but my stuff didn't last because I never went to the doctor. Never went, took no tests, never went. Obviously, I didn't take the jab or anything like that. I was able to take care of myself and the people in my family who trusted me. I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You might want to try this. This has worked successful for me, and it ended up being successful for them. And there were a lot of other people who, you know, like I said, have a different belief system. Uh, their belief system came from from the outside. They visit those places. A lot of them ended up being sick. Um, Obviously, some of them didn't make it because I believe a lot of time they focused on people who they thought had their best interests and actually didn't. But that's a clear example of when you have your own belief system and you actually have confidence in yourself and believe in yourself, and you don't have a problem educating yourself and doing the research and reading and understanding and building relationships. Because there were people that I actually knew that I could call and be like, hey, you do, you know, what do you do for this? What do you do for that? And made up my own stuff for myself, and I did very well, and I'm proud of that because that was one of the biggest things that a lot of us face, and we were strong and brave enough and made it through without being corrupted. And a lot of that had to do with our belief in our own self, even with family members and people we cared about told us that we were wrong, but we had our own self autonomy. And that's really what this channel was about. So let me continue to move on. Um, so the next one talks about people I love dying, and I'll get through these. So people you love dying. All right. We are all, if you don't know, and I'll pull myself back up on the camera so you can understand this and look in your eyes and actually see this. We are an immortal being. We're going to come here and we're going to leave and we're going to shed this body. If you want to relieve the fear, we don't want to be alone. And I get it. One of the things, coming from somebody who have lost both of their parents, one of the things that made me, I feel, do so well when they died and passed away, and even though I miss them and draw from them till this day, the experiences and the lessons that they taught me to help shape me to be who I am. Um, I made sure I left. I didn't leave anything on the table in our relationship, meaning that I made sure they knew that I appreciate them. I made sure they knew that if I had an issue with something, that I didn't leave any stones unturned. I wanted to know certain things. I had those conversations. If there was something I was hurt about, I gained more understanding. What people fear, I think, a lot of times is having a what if situation, you know, meaning that that person passed away and they didn't get an opportunity to tell the person how much they love them, how much they appreciate them, or even telling somebody how much they hurt you and getting a different perspective of why certain situations were what they were. You have people, a loved one that you love, and there's unresolved issues. Start today, start tomorrow, resolve those issues. Find out what the problem is, come to an understanding, having empathy, and seeing things from their perspective so you can gain closure, even though, and this doesn't have to be just an elderly person. This can be family members. A lot of time, we let too much unresolved issues last, go day to day. We need to get past that. And if there's something that's bothering you about somebody that you actually care about, you need to resolve those issues and resolve them in a positive manner so you can get some clarity. That would definitely help you get past, the fear of a loved one actually dying. Let's look at pollution of the drinking water. Um, Simply, one of the things I'll say about that is that's a very tough one. I will tell you this though, your water has always been poison. Um, there's always been a lot of stuff in your water, and a lot of stuff is being revealed. When we start talking about self autonomy and things of that nature, if you can find a way to learn how to purify your water, that would be great. If you can find a way to get pure carbon and add some to your water, that would be excellent. Not no doctor, I'm not giving medical advice. You can read up on that for yourself. A lot of the things that I promote is self education. There are ways to improving your water, and making it actually better for you and your family, but you're gonna have to do the work. So, um, the next thing is you talking about biological warfare, which is very similar. A lot of these stuff that people have fears about. My point to all of this is a lot of it is a mindset. We've we've been dealing with these things for quite some time. And you just look up, you got chemtrails. We talked about the chemicals in the water. A lot of this stuff has been happening to us, and we are afraid of it. But basically, we just waiting. If you don't understand and you haven't done any self work, you're just basically waiting for the media to come and tell you that that these stuff is an issue. Same thing about cyber terrorism. Um, that's an issue, but in actuality, when I talked about earlier about if a system shut down and they're shutting this stuff down, one of the best things that we can do is get away from a lot of the electronics and these devices. Stop becoming so dependent upon them. Keep cash on you. Keep your protection on you. If there's something that you do in excess, keep it in excess for the ability to trade and barter. Find an alternative way to receive energy, whether it be a solar generator, things of that nature. Have these stuff on hand in case if you do come in contact. We do have some sort of cyber terrorism, uh, things of that nature that you will be prepared. And also, just like I was talking earlier about the event that happened a few years ago, store food. If you don't have a farm or a cellar, take a closet and put canned goods, secure canned goods in it. Have a rotation where this stuff just not going to waste. So you store this stuff. Canned goods are still kind of relatively cheap, um, and you can buy all different types of canned goods. Um, if you have the opportunity to grow a small garden, if you don't have a yard, if you can grow small stuff in pots on a balcony, there's always a way if you make the effort. No Shortcuts is about self autonomy. You can find ways to ease these fears by doing things on your own. If all you're depending on is getting your produce for Walmart, um, yeah, I guess you would be fearful. But there are things that you can do. There are people that have farms. There are farmers market. If you don't have, you would be surprised. Um, if you live in a situation where you say, well, I don't got the land. I live in an apartment. Well, I tell you what, go to the farmer's market, build a relationship with some of those people, a genuine relationship where you're willing to go on their farm and help create produce, help grow produce, help understand the process, and build a relationship where you can offer something to those people that if you do have a cyber attack or economic collapse, and a way to secure some kind of food for yourself if possible. Okay. The last thing that's on this list is not having enough money for the future. So we kind of talked about this earlier about the economic collapse. One of the things that we really need to look at, and I'm gonna bring this all home in a minute, but create some form of self-employment. Okay, if you're working a job, I guarantee you have some sort of skill, some sort of ability that a lot of other people around you don't have. You need to find a way to monetize it. I don't care if you have to teach it on YouTube. I don't care if you can start small, create an LLC, do it on the side. I don't care if you make quilts. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you know how to work on cars real well, but you can't work in a mechanic shop, or you do work in a mechanic shop. Why don't you make a YouTube video showing people simple ways how to take care of cars themselves? The bar is real low if you want to go out and make extra income. You just have to have the effort and the pure heart. And so you can do things like that. At this point, if you have a job and you work a regular job, you need to create in addition, some sort of 1099 employment, some sort of self-employment. This will definitely benefit you. Throughout this video, and this video has been a little bit longer than I want it to be, one of the things that I've been talking about, and you've heard me talked about it over and over and over again, and that is your mindset and how your mindset and your belief system will affect your life. All of these different things that we talked about, the top 10 fears that Americans have, a lot of this stuff can be changed by the power of your mind, removing your programming, realizing that you have a lot of negative default programming in you that's based on fear and anger. But a lot of this stuff you can improve by improving your mindset. So throughout this list and this whole video, you hear me keep referring to the mindset. We have to realize how important our mindset is to our belief system. Our belief system, when you hear me talk about the changes that we can make in our day-to-day lives that comes from our belief system, it has to do with our mindset. And if you think this is a game and not real, all you have to do is look at the placebo effect. You look at the placebo effect, it's in tons of medical studies, journals, for long periods of time. You can go back, since the beginning of modern medicine, where they start putting in placebos in comparison to medication and treatment that people receive. And for the mere fact, the people who didn't receive the medical enhancement but just had a sugar pill or nothing happened at all other than their mindset, was able to heal themselves and fix themselves. So your mindset is why it's one of the focus of this channel. It's very important. Look at the placebo effect, and you will see that this is not a new thing, that your mindset is very important. It'll be something that we really get into in a video coming up soon. even for those who are very biblical. You know, if you look at the story of Jesus and the woman with the issue of blood, um, even in that scenario, no matter how you want to look at it, and you look at it word for word, one of the things that you will see that in Jesus' response to her talks about, take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well, was his response. Essentially, what he's saying is, your belief has made you well. We're going to have to change our belief system. We're going to have to change the way we look and we view things. A lot of these fears and stuff that we have, we are so much more than we think we are. So much more than what we think we are. I want to wrap this video up. I thank you for sticking to the end. It was a little bit longer than I expected, but I really appreciate your time. I hope you join me again in another video in the future. Thank you for watching No Shortcuts. It is still one of the safest places on YouTube and on earth. Thank you.